Hi, the SI meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, August 15th, the middle of the month of August, and this is the beginning of the real climatological peak for the Atlantic tropical season. Anytime from mid-August through the month of September is generally the most active time period for the tropical season here in the Atlantic basin. And indeed, we have two areas of interest in the tropics right now, one in the Caribbean and one way out there in the eastern part of the Atlantic. Meanwhile, another chilly morning here in the mid-Atlantic region. We'll talk a lot about that over the next couple of minutes, but first let's start off with the tropical situation. This is the very latest colorized infrared satellite image of the Caribbean area from the Penstead Ewald site. Here's that area of disturbed weather right now in the western part of the Caribbean. And it has actually weakened a little bit overnight, but it's still quite impressive, and it is headed right for this landmass right here. This is the Yucatan Peninsula section of Mexico. Once it crosses over that area, it'll spill out over into the Gulf of Mexico, and the sea surface temperatures, which we'll show in a moment or two, are generally above normal. Now, this is getting into the warmest time of the year as it is, but they're a little bit above normal, not only in the Gulf of Mexico, but generally from the African west coast all the way to the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. There continues to be slightly above normal sea surface temperatures, which should aid in the intensification of tropical systems. That's just one factor, of course. There's several other factors, such as wind shear or dry air intrusion, as we've had quite often over the last few weeks in the eastern part of the Atlantic. Once this area crosses the Yucatan, it'll move over the Gulf of Mexico, and anywhere from the central Gulf region all the way to the northeastern part of Mexico should monitor this, and we'll of course monitor it here at the siweather.com. Certainly has the potential for some heavy rain in this region, and eventually that moisture could actually make a turn and come up the east coast, so we'll monitor this over the next couple of days. Now there's a second area of interest in the tropicals. This is way in the eastern part of the Atlantic right here. This has quickly become a tropical storm named Erin. It just moved off the western coast of Africa, which is right here, over the last few days, so it intensified rather quickly. Now this particular map comes from the CIMSS Wisconsin website. It has not only a satellite viewpoint of the eastern Atlantic, but the orange here represents dry air coming off the Saharan desert. Basically, dry air intrusion that inhibits the intensification of tropical systems. This has really been a dominant feature over the last few weeks, and we have yet to have a tropical system reach hurricane status here in the Atlantic basin. And one of the main reasons so far has been this dry air coming off pretty much repeatedly off the Saharan coast of Africa. And again, there is some dry air that this particular system, Erin, will encounter over the next few days. But notice ahead of it, it's not all that impressive here. And there has been some indication that this kind of a factor will diminish somewhat over the next several days and may allow for some intensification. So we'll continue to monitor both of these systems. By the way, if the system in the Caribbean develops into a named tropical storm, it'll be called Ferdinand, and that could happen, but going over land for the next 12 to 24 hours or so will likely inhibit any intensification. Not until it spills out over into the Gulf of Mexico will intensification likely occur. So again, we'll monitor the dry air intrusion here, but two areas of interest in the tropics right now. Well, one more map regarding the tropical situation before we get to the local weather conditions. This is the latest sea surface temperature anomaly chart, and it shows basically orange, which is slightly above normal sea surface temperatures for this time of the year from the west coast of Africa right here all the way through the Atlantic Basin, the tropical Atlantic Basin. This is the Caribbean Sea right here and the Gulf of Mexico. There's a little patch of below normal temperature right in here, but this particular Caribbean system is located right about here, and it looks like it'll go right into the western half or the central part of the Gulf of Mexico, where there are slightly above normal sea surface temperatures, and Erin is moving in an area that is generally slightly above normal. These are favorable factors for intensification for both of these systems, but only one factor of many. Wind shear and the dry air intrusion are, of course, other factors. So we'll continue to monitor this. This is the climatological favorite period for tropical storm development now from mid-August right through the month of September. Well, let's now talk about the U.S. weather, especially the Mid-Atlantic region. We have another chilly morning here in the Mid-Atlantic region. Low temperatures generally in the low 50s in many areas, way below normal for this time of the year. High temperatures yesterday up and down the I-95 corridor were some 10 degrees or more below normal for this time of the year, the middle part of August. How unusual is this cool spell? Well, this is from coolweather.com, and it shows all those areas in the eastern half of the country that are near record lows or actually at record lows. So it is quite an impressive chill in the air for this time of the year. Bradford, Pennsylvania, for example, dropped to a record low this morning, 38 degrees. These black dots here represent other cities with record lows, and the blue represent areas near record lows. So it is pretty widespread from New England all the way down into the south central part of the country with near record or record low temperatures this morning. Well, here's the latest U.S. surface map. A couple things of interest here. First of all, we've been talking about this strong high pressure area that started from way up here in Canada and moved to the south and east, just dominating the scene. It's kind of anchored itself over the Midwest and the northeastern part of the country and will control our weather right through tomorrow. There is a threat for showers to return to the I-95 corridor this weekend, however, as this eventually will move off the east coast, and there will be a tendency for low pressure area to try to form right off the mid-Atlantic coastline by later in the weekend, and moisture coming up from the southeast could actually cause some showers in the I-95 corridor on Saturday around D.C., perhaps Saturday night and Sunday in the Philadelphia, New York City region. The weather does tend to go downhill in terms of clouds and the threat for showers over the weekend. The comfortable temperatures will remain, however. We certainly should stay on the cool side of normal right through the upcoming weekend. Another unusual aspect to this chill in the air this morning with the near record lows in many parts of the eastern U.S. is this cool front has gone all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. That's quite unusual this time of the year to see a cool front make it that far south and east. Well, let's take a look at some computer forecast maps for this upcoming weekend. This is really for tomorrow morning, Friday morning, then we'll look at Saturday morning and Sunday morning. Tomorrow morning's weather map should feature continued high pressure sitting right on top of the Mid-Atlantic region, the Midwest. This is the same high pressure that's been providing us with very nice weather over the last 24 to 36 hours or so, and will continue right through the day tomorrow. Notice, though, there is quite a bit of moisture right here in the southeastern part of the country, and won't take much to bring that to the north and east. In fact, that is indeed what will happen. A little bit of a East Coast trough setting up right here, and a lot of moisture will have to be watched over the next couple of days, and indeed it looks like it'll increase our chances for showers here in the I-95 corridor this weekend from D.C. to Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York City. We'll warm up in the southern Rockies over the next few days. They'll be back to near 90 degrees around Denver this afternoon and for the next couple of days, and a slight warm up in Southern California coastal regions with high temperatures jumping up to the mid and upper 70s over the next couple of days. Now here's the forecast map for Saturday morning. Again, this is from last night's 0Z GFS model run. Notice the high pressure starting to kind of shift to the east here, and eventually it does shift off the east coast, and that tends to allow for this moisture to be able to move a little bit farther to the north and east. We should be dry through Friday, but come early Saturday in the D.C. region and late Saturday in Philadelphia and New York City, the threat for showers will increase. Certainly clouds will increase everywhere on the day Saturday as this moisture tends to ride up the east coast. Let's now jump ahead to the Sunday morning forecast map. And here it is for Sunday morning. That high has shifted off the east coast. That kind of opens the door for some of this moisture to move to the north and east. So certainly clouds will thicken up this weekend, and the threat for showers will return to the Mid-Atlantic region. The GFS is even putting out a little bit of precipitation along the I-95 corridor by Sunday morning, and that threat for showers may very well continue into Monday. Now again, temperatures should generally stay on the cool side of normal through the weekend, even though there will be a slight change in the weather pattern. this weekend with the moisture returning back to the Mid-Atlantic region. However, by the middle part of next week, we should have a warm-up with temperatures way back up, well up into the 80s again by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week in the I-95 corridor. So a lot going on. The tropics are active, and our beautiful weather here in the Mid-Atlantic region continues through tomorrow, but the shower threat will return this weekend. That's it for now. For the SIWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.